Omari Thomas, who I think we would agree is one of Tennessee's leaders. That's why they took him to SEC Media Days twice. But he was involved in a serious incident after the game in which he pushed, I believe I said a fan, it may have been an Arkansas cheerleader, into another Arkansas cheerleader. It really doesn't matter who it is. You shouldn't push anybody on the field. So let's go ahead and play it. And then I think Caleb and I are going to have a bit of a different, unique take. So pull that up. And by the way, is it just cool in and of itself that other teams now charge the field for Tennessee, Caleb? I mean, they didn't do that 4 years ago. So I think that says something. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
All right, here we go. Here's Omari Thomas, and you'll see him kind of over here on your screen as he's walking off the field. Number 21 right there shoves a fan, just like that. And he lands into a female fan.
That might be Arkansas cheerleaders. It's really hard for me to determine. But
they were saying that. I can tell you right now, there's no way in heck that was a male cheerleader on the field. They were trying to defend.
Well, it doesn't matter. They tried to break through Tennessee's team, and you should be more respectful than that. Yeah, I've been on the sideline a couple of different times. Once was when the Florida press box was being renovated, and that was 2001. I had to stand on the sideline, which is absolutely awful. You can't see anything unless you're Steve Spurrier or Josh Heupel, who have good vision on the field. But I've also been on the field a couple of, dozens of times, because you're allowed to go as media with 5 minutes left. In college. In the NFL, it's 2-minute warning. So I've been in this situation before at Georgia, and you can probably help me with the year, Caleb, where I
2000.
got what?
2000.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm standing there, and I'm a pretty formidable dude. I'm fairly big, fairly strong. And I'm standing in front of a group of people that are set to charge the field. Caleb, there were two females in front of me that tripped and fell. And I thought, oh my Lord, honestly, like a quick prayer to God in my head, we're going to trample these people. Because Caleb, have you ever been in a crowd that is so tight that it feels like your feet aren't even moving? That you're just being pushed. I've been in that situation on Bourbon Street for Mardi Gras. I've been in that situation as Kid Rock was beginning to blow up, yet he played a small little venue on the Strip. And I was like, I looked at my now wife and I said, we got to get out of here. I mean, this is a fire hazard. This is trouble. So I've been in that situation. And listen, I'm not saying it's okay that Omari Thomas pushed someone, but if you run onto the field, bank on it, you should expect something to happen. Brought to you by Commercial Bank. And you go onto the field at your own risk. Caleb, bank on it. Omari Thomas should not be suspended. Brought to you by Commercial Bank.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
All right. Omari Thomas, should he be suspended?
No, he shouldn't. And first, I want to point out, just to get the news out there, Omari Thomas did send out a tweet. He said, I apologize for my actions during the chaotic post-game scene. Even though we got run into multiple times by fans while trying to exit the field, that doesn't condone my actions or define my character. I sincerely apologize. I wish Arkansas and their fans all the best. Go big, Big O. And our poll question is, what should Josh Heupel do with Omari Thomas? Kick him off the team, suspend him? Nothing, don't storm the field. Nothing, don't store the field is at 56%. Suspend him 38%. Kick him off the team at 4%. Okay, now I got to give my thoughts.
Okay, does that surprise you a little bit? Because I thought you and I think are on the same page, and I thought we'd be in the minority, to be honest with you.
Oh, I am surprised, and I'm gonna take something a little personal too. But I am surprised, and I'm gonna first tell you why, then I'm gonna give you my thoughts. I hope everybody who's saying nothing, don't suspend him because you shouldn't storm the field, who agrees with me and Dave, I hope you guys weren't one of those people who were coming at me hard last year when I said Jermaine Burton should not have been suspended for what he did to the Tennessee fan after Tennessee stormed the field and Jermaine Burton punched a female Alabama fan. Hold the same standard. I hope you agreed with me and defended Jermaine Burton if you're agreeing with me now and defending Omari Thomas. Because I got a lot of people mad when I said that last year. And what I said then, I'm saying now. Your rights end the second you storm the field. I think if you are a fan and you willingly choose to run onto the field, you surrender all rights, all protection, and anything done to you at that point, unless you are a child and were forced onto the field by your parents, anything done to you at that point is on you. And as a matter of fact, if you're a child forced onto the field by your parents and you get hurt, your parents should be sued for negligence, quite honestly. And I have said for a while, that's the case with players. It is rioting. There's no, the SEC has a policy against it. It's not allowed. It's rioting. And here's the other point, and I just want to point this out with Omari Thomas. Not only is it all of those things I said, by the way, and again, I defended Jermaine Burton 2 years ago, when he did the same thing to a Tennessee fan. He had every right to do it, and I will say Omari Thomas had every right to do it here. It's rioting, and here's the worst part. You're Omari Thomas. Dave, that is the one position, defensive line, where you are literally playing with rage all game, right? More than any other position. You're playing with rage. You fought your guts out. You lost because your offense let you down. Nobody could be more upset than a guy like Omari Thomas walking on the field. And in the heat of all that rage, you have fans storming out the field as you're trying to get off. Maybe he shouldn't have lost his temper. And I'm glad he apologized. But I'm sorry, your rights end the second you step onto a field. That is not for the fans.
I'm not arguing that, but I'm not going to excuse Omari Thomas, who I bet realized his own strength for one of the first times. And I will tell you, I lift a lot, so I go back and forth. I'm not saying that I'm as strong as Omari Thomas, but I've been in situations when I was in my 20s that I surprised myself by maybe pushing someone. And I think Omari Thomas just realized that that's not an offensive lineman for Arkansas. And it should scare him to the core. Because if he really hurt somebody, we'd be having a bit of a different conversation, right? Because you would still be right in your principle, and I would still agree with you, Caleb. But if he fell into that girl and the girl, God forbid, broke her neck or something, then you would have to suspend him just for PR standpoint. I will say this. If Omari Thomas was going to be a starter against Florida, I wouldn't run him out there on the first series. I would go ahead and sit him out the first series. But I'm with you. This is 90% the fans' fault. But Omari Thomas has to realize you can't lay your hands on a citizen because you are a different breed of human right now. You are massively strong. He probably benches 500 pounds. They don't one rep max anymore. But you have to realize that that's like pushing my little 15-pound puppy. I mean, I can throw him across the room if I wanted to. That's what Omari Thomas's strength brings to the table. So I hope he learned his lesson, because I hope everybody on the team learned their lesson, because he's probably said, man, I barely pushed him. But you watch the tape and the guy flew like 15 feet.
Okay. Yes. And look, and I'm glad he apologized. And by the way, when people are saying I'm consistent, I'm inconsistent because I said that he was right to apologize, but he also was, I don't think he should be punished. My point is this: you can have the right to do something and still maybe you shouldn't do it. And I think if you're a player on the field, you can have the right to shove a fan who gets in your face. I just don't think you should do it. I don't think it's right or smart. That's where I am at with Omari Thomas. But where I'm very defensive is, Dave, again, linemen, they're coached to play with the level of rage for 60 minutes. It's a 3-hour game. Omari Thomas is probably one of those guys. I interviewed him last year. You've met him. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, right? He's incredibly nice, incredibly smart, a great leader. He has to mentally turn himself into an angry person playing with hair on fire for 3 hours, like all linemen do. And you just lost playing that way for 3 hours, and you're walking off the field. You're trying to gather your emotions. Again, this is why it's even less egregious than Jermaine Burton, because wide receivers don't have to do that. defensive linemen, literally every single play, they're trying to shove the guy down in front of them for 3 hours straight. And they're playing in a level of anger, and you are upset, and you're walking off the field. And yeah, your emotions are going to get the best of you. That's going to happen.
Okay, which do you think was worse? Burton because he directly struck a female, or Omari Thomas because he's so much bigger and stronger and ended up taking 2 people down? Let me ask you that question. Click the like button if you don't care. Your comments, we want that. Asia Cafe, treat yourself to authentic Asian cuisine, handcrafted from guarded family recipes. 5 locations to choose from. asiacafe.org, asiacafe.org. And you can also have that fantastic 6-to-1 Brazilian cocoa coffee that's got me going. Instant white coffee. It's unbelievable. Over 100 years. That's right. It's been around. Philip Lim carries the torch as a 3-generation family business and started to expand the Lim Dynasty in Knoxville, Tennessee. You can see it over my shoulder. You can order it at asiacafe.org. So, Caleb, which is worse, the Burton or the Thomas situation?
The Jermaine Burton behaved worse than Omari Thomas. And
because it was a female?
It was a female. It was a punch. It wasn't a shove. And whatever you think is a punch is worse than a shove. But also
they argued. And I think Nick Saban even said that it was more of a shove to the head, which is semantics.
Which is called a punch.
I mean, shove you in the face. That's a punch.
And also, again, receivers don't play angry for 3 hours. Is that fair? If you're a wide receiver, you don't play with your emotion on. You're actually taught to not play with your emotions on your sleeves as a wide receiver for 3 hours. Defensive linemen, the entire premise of playing defensive line is to want to knock the heck out of the person in front of you for 3 hours. How do you expect them to just be measured immediately when they get off the field off that after a loss, particularly in a loss where they did their job and they were let down? I mean, they were just very upset. And again, I'm sorry. I'm very, very big on this. And this isn't any other situation. We always say, if someone's breaking the law, rioting, in a regular scenario, in a regular everyday situation, if someone's breaking the law, rioting, and they come up in your personal space when they're doing it, you kind of have a right to do what you want to do to them at that point.